Good evening. Welcome to South Asia Newsline. I'm Lipakshi Khurana. Here are the top stories we're tracking for you on Tuesday, the 7th of November. Doctors declare health emergency as pollution in Indian capital New Delhi hits dangerous level. At least 2 killed, several injured in TV station attack in Kabul claimed by Islamic State. And girls take up Judo for self-defense in Indian Kashmir. And now for all the details, India's capital New Delhi woke up to a choking blanket of smog on Tuesday morning. The air quality in many areas reached from poor to hazardous. The visibility also remained low, causing problem in movement of traffic and train services.
Residents in Indian capital New Delhi on Tuesday morning woke up to a dense smoke with the air quality in many areas ranging from poor to hazardous. Pollution in the city hit dangerous levels and doctors declared a public health emergency in the Indian capital. Air quality index, which measures the concentration of poisonous particulate matter in the air, hit the severe level of 445 on the scale, where the maximum reading is 500. Anything above 100 is considered unhealthy by the Central Pollution Control Board. The Indian Medical Association or IMA president has asked people not to venture out.
IMA declares Delhi in a public health emergency state. स्कूल बंद हो जाने चाहिए, लोग घरों से बाहर नहीं निकलने चाहिए, खासकर elderly, pregnant ladies, बच्चे, हार्ट के पेशेंट, अस्थमा के पेशेंट, बाकी सब लोगों को भी precautions लेनी चाहिए.
Air and rail traffic were also affected by smog, as around 20 flights were delayed and a dozen trains from New Delhi were running late due to the decreased visibility. Meanwhile, India's Weather Office, Indian Meteorological Department, has said the conditions are likely to remain same for the next 3 days.
Moving on, Indian Army officials on Tuesday confirmed that a soldier and 3 militants were killed in an encounter in India's northern Jammu and Kashmir province on Monday. They claimed a nephew of Pakistan-based Jaish-e-Muhammad militant group chief Masood Azhar was among the militants killed.
An Indian Army soldier and 3 Pakistan-based Jaish-e-Muhammad or JEM militants were killed on Monday in an encounter in India's northern Jammu and Kashmir province, Army officials said on Tuesday. The militants included Talha Rashid, nephew of Jaish-e-Muhammad chief Masood Azhar. Based on a tip-off about presence of militants in a village of Pulwama district, a joint operation was launched by the police and paramilitary forces on Monday evening. Militants opened fire while the security forces were laying a cordon and a gun battle ensued. Briefing the media, senior police and army officials said a huge cache of arms and ammunition was also recovered from the possession of the militants.
We have reason to believe he was the main person who was involved in guiding and supporting the JEM cadres who were killed along with him. And of course the prize catch of this particular operation were the 2 FTs. One of course is Talha Rashid, is an FTA++ of JEM, and this man is supposed to be the nephew of Masood Azhar, as has been admitted by the JEM.
India has been trying to get Masood Azhar on a UN list of groups and individuals with ties to Al-Qaeda, blaming his group for a series of attacks in India. Despite India's repeated attempts, China has blocked its request to sanction Masood Azhar under the UN list of terrorists.
Belgian royal couple King Philip and Queen Mathilde was accorded a ceremonial reception at Presidential Palace in Indian capital New Delhi on Tuesday. King Philip also met Indian Prime Minister Narendra Modi and held discussions to strengthen bilateral ties.
Indian Prime Minister Narendra Modi on Tuesday met Belgium's King Philip in capital New Delhi. The two held talks to strengthen bilateral ties between India and Belgium. The Belgian royal couple King Philip and Queen Mathilde is on a 7-day visit aimed at boosting overall cooperation between the two countries with a focus on further ramping up trade and investment ties. Earlier, King Philip also met Indian Foreign Minister Sushma Swaraj and held conversation on expanding warm and friendly bilateral relations. The royal couple earlier in the day was also accorded a ceremonial reception at Presidential Palace, Rashtrapati Bhavan. This is King Philip's first visit to India following his accession to the throne in 2013.
In news from Pakistan, an accountability court on Tuesday reserved its decision on Pakistan's ousted Premier Nawaz Sharif's plea seeking the clubbing of 3 corruption references against him. Sharif, his daughter Maryam and son-in-law Mohammad Safdar appeared before the court on Tuesday in the references filed against them by the National Accountability Bureau. Sharif's counsel argued that the nature of cases as well as the defence and prosecution of all the references is the same. Thus, they should be clubbed together and heard as a single case. The court is now expected to announce its decision on Wednesday. Moving on, locals in Pakistan-administered Kashmir recently held a demonstration over abduction of a youth by Pakistani intelligence agencies. They claimed abduction and enforced disappearances of people, particularly the youth, have become a norm in the region where the Pakistani security agencies are operating with impunity.
Residents of Muzaffarabad in Pakistan-administered Kashmir recently staged a protest over abduction of a youth by Pakistani intelligence agencies. The protesters shouted slogans outside the Central Press Club in Muzaffarabad and demanded action against those involved in the abduction of the local youth named Amar Habib. Habib's relatives and friends alleged that he was abducted from near an army checkpost during daytime and he has not been traced yet.
इनके भाई को इनके बेटे को बाजियाब किया जाए अगर उसने कोई जुर्म किया है तो उसको अदालत में पेश किया जाए.
The protesters demanded that the brutal act of abduction and disappearance of youth be stopped. They claimed abduction and disappearance of people, particularly the youth, at the hands of Pakistani authorities has become a norm in Pakistan, where the security agencies are operating with impunity.
In news from Afghanistan, at least 2 persons were killed as gunmen stormed a private television station in Afghan capital Kabul on Tuesday. The militant group Islamic State has claimed responsibility for the attack.
At least 2 people were killed and several injured as gunmen stormed a private television station, Shamshad TV, in Afghanistan's capital Kabul on Tuesday. The attack started when a suicide bomber reportedly detonated his explosives at the entrance gate of the television station. During the attack, a special forces unit blasted a hole in the concrete wall around the compound and entered the site of the TV station amid a crack of gunfire. At least 1 attacker was killed during the operation, while another was killed at the compound entrance. Militant group Islamic State claimed responsibility for the attack. The group, based mainly in the eastern province of Nangarhar, has claimed a number of attacks on civilian targets in the Afghan capital.
Meanwhile, the Afghan government has come up with a new plan to merge border police and public protection forces into Afghan National Army. The announcement was made by the Afghan Ministry of Defence on Monday.
The Afghan Ministry of Defence or MOD on Monday said the Public Protection Forces or PPF and Afghan Border Police will no longer fall under the Ministry of Interior. Both the forces will now be merged into the Afghan National Army or ANA in order to secure areas that are retaken by the army following military operations. The process of bringing over 15,000 border police under Afghan Army's umbrella kicked off on Sunday.
مو وظایف را اجرا میکنن مثل که در وزارت داخله در سرحدات اجرا میکرد مگر وزارت دفاع برش یک پلان بسیار منظم سنجیده و است که اینا را کاملا بازسازی میکنن.
However, around 4,000 will remain under the Interior Ministry's structure to secure customs, borders and airports. After the border police have been incorporated into the army, the public protection forces will then be moved to the MOD from December.
Moving on to news from Nepal, Nepal's Election Commission has said that the counting of votes for the first phase of provincial and parliamentary polls will begin on December 7th. The first phase of elections in the country's 32 districts is slated for November 26th, and the second phase will be held in 45 districts on December 7th. The panel involved in the upcoming polls reportedly said that counting of second phase of the elections can also start on the same day, on the day of polling. To combat rising incidents of crime against women and to stay fit, girls in India's northern Jammu and Kashmir province are learning Judo with great enthusiasm. The self-defense technique is now attracting many girls from the valley who were earlier restricted to participate in such sports.
Girls in India's northern Jammu and Kashmir province are learning Judo these days as a self-defense technique and also to stay physically fit. This Japanese form of martial arts has now attracted scores of enthusiastic girls from Srinagar city who were earlier restricted to participate in such sports. The girls are now happy to attend the training sessions and urge others to attend the same.
ये गेम ऐसी है जो छोड़ने के लायक नहीं है. इसमें एक लड़की के लिए इतना है एग्रेशन होना चाहिए किसी गेम के लिए, और जूडो एक ऐसी गेम है जिसमें एक लड़की सेफ रह सकती है. सेल्फ डिफेंस भी है इसमें जो एक लड़की को ज़रूरत होता है. आजकल जैसे हालात है उसके लिए सेल्फ डिफेंस होना बहुत ज़रूरी है, तो इसीलिए जूडो में सेल्फ डिफेंस भी बहुत सिखाया जाता है.
हम चाहते हैं इस फील्ड में और ज़्यादा लड़कियां आ जाए, क्योंकि एक तो सेल्फ डिफेंस के लिए भी, और इसमें ये है कि एक लड़की होनी चाहिए स्ट्रॉन्ग. हालात कुछ भी हो सकती है.
The parents were earlier hesitant to let their daughters participate in such activities, which are mainly dominated by boys. But now the scenario is changing as girls in large numbers are showing keen interest in the sport activities and are also performing well.
Well, that's all we have for you from South Asia this evening. Now our viewers can watch the show on SouthAsiaNewsline.com. You can also visit us on Facebook.com/SAsiaNewsline and follow us on Twitter @SAsiaNewsline. That's all in tonight's edition. We'll see you same time tomorrow. Good night.